Hey guys, in this video we're going to be refreshing the rear brakes on the E46. We'll start by jacking up the car. Just jack it up a small amount to take a bit of weight off the wheel. Wheel studs on this are 17mm. Use your axle stands then. We'll leave that there, because if it does drop, it hasn't got far to go to be on the stand. Plus I'm not getting under the vehicle, so it doesn't make much of a difference. So this part here is the caliper bracket, and there's two bolts at the back of it holding it on, and they are 16mm. These are just hand tight because obviously the previous owner had a go. The top one you can get to with a socket, and the bottom one I use a ring spanner. What I'm going to do, rather than leave the caliper hang, put a couple of zip ties on it. I'll hold it out the way and take the tension off the brake line. Next thing we need to do, this nut has been crushed on, so it can't back off, so we're going to open that up. Just use a flathead. There's a little notch there. Just try and pry it. That one's fine. Yeah, 30mm socket. Previous video I removed the diff. Obviously I've got to lock this off somehow so it can't rotate, so I can undo that nut. That's what I come up with, because there's no way of me jamming this with anything. I think that went. Yep. That's got it. And with the nut removed, normally then you would have 6 bolts on the other side of the drive shaft, attaching the drive shaft to the diff. Like I said, I've already removed that. So I haven't got to undo that side, so this should just knock and pull out. Just put that on there to protect the threads so I don't mushroom the end. That's it. So the next thing I'm going to remove is the actual handbrake shoes. These are, well, that was the handbrake shoe. So there's 2 little tabs here, so you push that in and twist it, and then it'll fall out. So there's one of them top, one just under there on the bottom, and then there's another two bigger springs here, and then they'll just all come apart and come out. That's one. These are absolutely wrecked. The main reason for taking these off is they mount to these little bits there, and they're quite badly corroded. So I need to take the hub off to be able to remove this. So in regards to getting this off, I've had to improvise a bit. So I've wedged a socket here, and I'm tightening in this bolt into that, because it's got nowhere to go. It's slowly pulling this off. I'm going to try again with a slide hammer. In here, holding the bearing in its housing, got a circlip. So I've sprayed some WD-40 on it. There she goes. Gone. Right. Just this lot to remove now. And with that circlip out, we can get the bearing tool and we'll be able to pull that out towards us. Right, the bearing puller. Put these two at the back. And the front section. Feed that through there. We seem to be centered. So as I'm tightening this, it should be pulling the bearing into this cup. That's the sound of it breaking free. Right, it won't turn anymore. And the bearing's out. You're going to want to clean all this up, ready to take the new bearing. But what I'm going to be doing is I have to take all this out just to replace this. So, like I said earlier, 10mm bolt, another 10mm bolt, and then you've got this very shallow bolt there, which is 17. So I'll go ahead and remove them. So just there's that 17mm nut I was on about. Bolt rather. As you can see, it's very thin, so I was lucky to get on it with this because you've got the chamfer there. Realistically, you really need them flush, or if you haven't got them, grind the end of this down so it's flat, and then you'll be able to take these off. Oh, there's one more under there I didn't see. So we've got a new wheel bearing kit here. Comes with a new nut, circlip, and obviously the bearing. Right. Need to make this setup a bit differently though, to put it back together. The bearing. same again. Right, I don't think that's going to go in any further. I think that's it. So as you can see that groove now for the circlip. Let's try and get this back in without killing myself. Ooh. And that's that. Perfect. There's a bit of a difference. These two. Awesome. Fully seated back. Got these little 10 millis. Right, so the next thing we need to remove is this collar here. On the old bearing, when you pull this out, basically it's this part and it stays stuck to this. So you've got to remove this to be able to press this into the new wheel bearing. So there's a couple of ways of doing it. Well, you can either just buy a new one of these. I think they're about £30. You can use one of these, which is what I'm going to try. You just tighten it and it separates. In theory, it should separate this. The other way I've done it before, you can cut these collars with a grinder carefully, and then when you get very close you can pry it and it cracks the collar, and then you can slide him off. Not sure if you can see it, very slowly starting to pull it. So tightening these will only get it so far. See that gap? And obviously it's pinching against the back of that, so obviously it's just not going to pull this any further. So what you've got to do, you've got these two threaded holes here. I do not have a clue what thread they are. I've been looking for ages. That's too small, but it just slides through. So what I've done, I've got a nut on the back. So as I tighten this, it's pushing this and it'll pull that away. Right, just a makeshift setup here. Bolt each side, it's almost out. There we have it. What a nightmare. Clean up around there a bit. with a wire brush. Just wipe that down with a tissue then. In a bit. What you're going to do next is put the handbrake assembly back in here. And here we have the new parts. All the springs, mechanisms, and the new pads. I'm going to do the adjuster as well. Put these in the spring. You go through there into these. And to fit these, you literally just push and twist. And that's it. The next thing you want to install is this. So you've got this hooked part which goes on to here, which is the handbrake cable. So you hook that on there, close it, and then you just slot it in for the gaps provided. You have the adjuster. So you put that facing down. And then the next thing you got are the springs. Okay, I'm going to get this caliper out of the way. It's only loosely mounted. Push the sliders back, leave that hang a bit, and these are only hand tight. Pass that out of the way, and now we can press this back in. Give it a couple of little taps. That should hold it there for us. .30mm socket. And there's a 30mm at the back. Oh, that's snug. Take the little disc retained out. So here's the new disc which came with the car. Spray this down. It's got a protective coating on it so it doesn't rust. Obviously we don't want that. It's a bit of brake cleaner. On the inside, that will just dry of its own accord. The little grub screw in. be hard to see on camera, but you turn the rotor, and then in here you'll see the little adjuster. And what you've got to do, you've got to put a flathead in there, tiny little flathead, and then you can adjust the tension on this. Right, I'm going to reinstall the caliper bracket, obviously the caliper and the new pads, but these sliders really dry, not the best, so I'm going to copper grease these. Right, it's a new pad. This one goes to the piston first, because these little prongs go inside the hole in the piston. I'll show you now. That hole there, they go into. What I'm going to do, I like to put a focus, bit of copper grease on there, just because they move about a bit. Just gives them something to slide around. Harder to see. So that's going to drop down there. That's it. Almost in. It's a bit of a fiddle because obviously you don't want to touch the brand new surface of the pad because you'll contaminate it. Right, now that one's in, I'm going to repeat the process to this one. Obviously not touching the pad, so a bit of copper grease either end like the last time. There's one side. Both sides done. And with this, I'm going to drop it down here, butt it up against that pad. There we are, it's over the rotor. With this up, you want to adjust this so you can't move the wheel. And as a general rule of thumb, back it off 10 turns once you can't move the wheel anymore. Now the wheel's on, I'm going to reinstall the drive shaft. So using a bar, you can hit the back of the drive shaft, drive it in here, and just enough to get the new lock nut on. And what you can do now, you can use the nut to pull. There we are. So now that nut has pulled the shaft all the way in. So all you've got to do now is torque that to spec, and then there's two little cutouts there. You hit that with a little chisel and it crimps them in so it can't undo itself, and then you wheel. It's quite hard to turn it now. Right, I can't move that now. So we're gonna wind it back 10 clicks and then that's set. And that's it. So what I'm gonna do now, take the axle stand away, drop the car down, torque this to specs, jack it back up, pop the wheel off, hit them two in, and then that's it, it's finished. 214 foot-pounds. There she is. One. Just pop the cap back in. Finished. I'm leaving these because I'm going to be messing about with the diff and things like that. Plus two of them, the threads are gone, so I need to pick up new bolts. So I'll sort that out again. Bit of an update. Got a drift day the 24th of April. I think it's the 7th or 8th of April today. So it's not long. So got a tyres to mount for the compact, for the spare wheels, load up, drive down. It's at Dakota Speedway, or Raceway I think it's called. I've never driven there before. It's a disused airfield. And then about 2.5 weeks after that, there's 4 of us going to present a pod. So that should be a good laugh. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.